Hello everyone, good to see you all back on the air listening. Oh, you guys good to see me back on the air. Who am I kidding? I got my words tied up this morning. It is Monday, it is always my excuse, but thank you once again tuning in to WVAU.org, American University's own student-run internet radio. Here we are once again live from a supply closet inside the Mary Graydon Center on the campus of American University. I am yours truly, the one and only Michael Gardner, and this is Fanatic Radio. Your home for sports as well as music from all genres. Don't have a preference. I would literally like to play anything. And that's what I do on the show. Why not? But, we have a good show to you today. We got craziness going on in the NBA. Opening day was last week. A couple of shout-outs for that. Craziness about Jalen Rose. But first, we will definitely begin with, I think it's a very sad day here at Fanatic Radio. It is the last day of college basketball. As tonight, this is very proud to say this too. Tonight is the first time ever that us on Fanatic Radio actually get to preview a national championship game. So, tons of emotions are flowing through me right now. Happy as well as sad, but we're going with UConn and Butler. But the Final Four games Saturday. A lot of crazy. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Watching those games on Saturday, though, it's. You can't help but notice on the Butler VCU game, the clock's always going to strike midnight on Cinderella. Apparently, a friend of mine was asking the lowest seed ever to win the NCAA tournament. That was back in the 80s when that Villanova team knocked off Patrick Ewing's Georgetown team. And, of course, the lowest seed before that was when Jim Valvano in 1983, when Jimmy V frantically ran around the court after they upset Phi Slamma Jamma. So this year, though, UConn Butler, and so many crazy stories surrounding this game. Of course, we'll start with the first game of VCU Butler, and looking at this game, you can't help but notice, eventually all the emotion, all the passion, desire VCU put into this team, it's going to run out. But also, I look at the road that they took, and eventually, you don't think that. I mean, some of that is going to. I don't know. Some of that is going to run out, but I have to give credit to them. The first 11 seeds since Mason to make the Final Four, very impressive. Jamie Skeen is a name you will definitely have to be familiar with because he's going to go to the NBA. He is a strong big man that can get boards. Also, he can shoot the three, which is really cool. He's a very, very diverse player, and I mean, of course, we'll get to that in a sec. Of guys, of course, I would possibly be in future shows when we do our NBA draft and whatnot, and we'll look at big players in that. But for VCU, and I feel like Jerry Rodriguez wasn't there, and I don't know. I guess it's frustrating to watch a team that I don't know. I have mixed emotions about this. I mean, it's not that I'm mad that VCU wasn't in the first place. It's just the team that should have come out of the region. Everyone wanted Kansas, and so I don't know. It's looking at it. I rather would have seen Kansas against Butler. I don't know, but because VCU, they just went cold in the second half, and of course, three-point shooting, it's a huge risk you run when you fire up the threes. So, in that sense, of course, next we'll move to the UConn Connecticut game, which I think was very exciting. I mean, Butler ended up winning 70-62. Shelvin McNamara Howard. Van Zandt, another player that contributed to that score. It's sad to see VCU go like this, but it's funny because everyone thought George Mason was the George Mason of this year, and ironically it was the team from their conference. But Butler goes to the title game once again, but we'll get to that next. UConn, Kentucky. Huskies barely edged out the Wildcats 56-55. Kemba goes to the national title game. 18 points on Sundays, the senior. 10th straight victory. That's impressive. And, of course, you knew Kentucky was going to give everything they got. I was not surprised watching this game that Kentucky would just throw everything but the kitchen sink at them. And knowing Coach Cal, knowing Brandon Knight, Terrence Jones, two players that hopefully, they will go to the draft. Why not? I mean, they're guys with that will go. But those are two very good players. And Brandon Knight, definitely a player to look out for as a shooting guard, point guard-esque. I don't know. But it's surprising that Kentucky has. One surprise, Kentucky made it this far. And beating Ohio State, which was huge back in the Sweet 16. And then UConn, which I kind of feel really stupid now not picking them. But I announced last week that I'm never going to pick a bracket. I mean, unless someone forces me to, I mean, why not? But you know me. It's cool to see. Well, I'm glad UConn's in the finals, and because that's the story of that team is phenomenal. How this team is 13-0 in tournament play because they won the Maui Invitational, which is the reason why they were in the spotlight in the first place. They were unranked going into that tournament, and then they beat Kentucky over in Maui, and they beat Michigan State to win the tournament. And so that is where we got to see the first look of Kemba Walker. So that's awesome to see that. They went 5 straight days and won 5 straight games in the Big East tournament, and now they are rolling to the national championship, which is the next thing we will highlight. Previewing the Natty Champ game tonight. The Butler Bulldogs. Never thought I'd be saying this, but they are back and trying to look to regain what they lost at half court last year against the Dukies. And they'll go up against another Big East opponent. And it's funny, when I had Chris Aldab on the show last week, we talked about this because we both picked Butler to win their game. And I think Chris picked Kentucky, I picked UConn. But now goes to the fact of who will win this game, because Butler is a team that has proven that they can run with the Big East team. how they can play with Pitt. They played Florida, which is a very physical team from the SEC, but I'm gonna say Connecticut is going to win this game. Very low scoring. I mean, it's gonna be rare if it reaches the 70s, somewhere in the 60s, because UConn Kentucky game was 50s, which is the third lowest since 1986. It's the third lowest combined score, which was, of course, it was last year's Butler Michigan, and then LSU UCLA in 2006. So this game, though, possibility of Oriaki with the hip. I think he'll be fine with this day of rest. If you're a Butler fan, I mean, I'd love to. I mean, it'd be cool to see it happen. I can see if it happens. But I think UConn just, because as an old coach would say, time to leave everything on the floor. I think this is when UConn is just going to go all out and just literally go kamikaze on the Bulldogs, because this team has carried so much weight on their shoulders. And you look at this and you think it's only destiny that this team would pick up the final win and seal the deal. But I wouldn't be surprised if Butler, because Shelvin Mack and Matt Howard are the two key focal points for the Bulldogs. And my only thing, if you're UConn and if I'm Jim Calhoun, is to try to get the Bulldogs in foul trouble, because Alex Smith and Matt Howard are the two key roles in the reason of keeping Butler into this game. Because, I mean, three-point shooting can do you so much, but in retrospect, I don't think Van Zandt is that, and the other guards. I mean, Shelvin Mack's a phenomenal player, but any of the guards can keep up with Shabazz Napier, with Jeremy Lamb, and of course with Kemba. I've yet to see a person shut down Kemba this year. So I don't know. I hope like to see UConn win, because the Butler team, will be playing. They'll be coming with our full strength. With we're trying to retake what's ours, and then of course UConn's coming at the side. We're saying, we're Big East. We've gone through so much. Look how much adversity we've overcome. Every game, most of the games we play have gone to the wire. So I'm picking UConn though. I'd love to see Kemba win. One, it's cool to see, just a play like that go off, because on Sports on Thursday we talked about a single player that can make a difference. 2003 with Carmelo Anthony. Melo, and look where he is now. But of course, he had help with Jeremy McNamara and Akeem Warwick. But yeah, I'd like to see the Huskies pull it out. And of course, that'll do it for our do it for our national championship coverage. But when we come back, we'll talk some more college basketball. We'll throw in some NBA, craziness about baseball, and all that other good stuff. But stay with us. You are listening to Fanatic Radio on WVAU.